So I'm an old teacher at heart, so I don't know if I'll need this. So yes, I'm Jonathan Fowler, and my interesting fact was I was an English major at Clemson, and now I'm a doctorate in big data analytics. So for everybody who wants to change their major, I'm a case study. All right, so the problem that I've run across a lot is everybody says they want to be data driven, but it's like there's step 1, step 2, and step 3. Step 1, be data driven. Step 3, profit. Step 2, what do we do? There's no connection. And there's so many buzzwords, there's so many, just look at LinkedIn and data analytics. It's a buzzword ball pit. Jump in and get dirty. This is the issue, and I've done so many analytics consulting engagements where they say we want better reporting. And I go all the way back to the root issue, which is your data culture sucks, and your data's a mess, and you want to fix it by buying stuff, which is throwing more money at the problem. The other problem is that there's IT and there's human resources, and you dare not cross that red line. I've had that said to me many times. You data people don't do HR culture stuff. That's exhibit A for why we need to do data culture stuff. An issue that we've seen, and the issue that I've had with this is trying to make it relatable. We've done a full pivot to talent agility, employee engagement, and HR. What does every employee in the company deal with, no matter their function? Data. Data is the lifeblood of the company, no matter what you do. And if you're not able to access it properly, you're not given the ability to get what you need, or you're told, I have the data, you just do what I tell you to do, there's a lack of engagement there that just kills employee culture, data culture, and company culture. That's why I say data culture is company culture. It's currency. Information is power. Data is power. So if they can't get to what they need and do the work that they're paid to do, why should they be engaged? This has been a very big black hole for measurement. And the issue that we're trying to solve here is we're trying to quantify a very qualitative thing. It's human beings, it's culture. So my research work that we're commercializing is quantifying that data culture, tying it to analytics capabilities, data personalities. How many of you have taken a personality test? They're all the rage in human resources. How many of you have taken a personality test that tells you how you deal with information? One. All right. I had to do a dissertation on this, which is it involves a literature review that makes sure you're not copying what other people are doing. So I can tell you that this is novel. It is proprietary. I've copyrighted it. I've got the trademarks, but trademarks are trademarks. We can do whatever we want to there. We can re-trademark if we want to. The whole piece of this, there's 3 parts here. First, we do the assessment. And that is either in person, or I've got a SaaS platform that I've built to make it scalable from 5 people, a company of 5 people to 5,000 people. The green circle is the research-driven insights. That's the doctoral work. That is my 3 years of research in connecting people, data, analytics, maturity, all of those things. And then the training. So we get it, and you get the results, but so what? In data analytics, there's what happened, why did it happen, what do we do with it? So we figure out in this case, what's the data culture look like, why is it that way, and then what do we do with it? That's the biggest piece. The training there can be either in learning module or learning library modules or me. And so the business part of this, the business growth of this is scaling me. Which I'm pretty good at putting those things in learning modules because I teach graduate classes in analytics, so I've gotten pretty good at e-learning. 1 minute. So I'm going to skip over the solution. Let's go to market opportunity. This was a hard thing for me to figure out because I'm not a serial entrepreneur at all. This is the first time I've done this. We really hit the sweet spot at over 100 users, but again, we're scalable up to sky's the limit. The more data we have, the more valuable our IP gets, the more we're able to say, yes, this is what's happening. Here's the connections that are strong. Here's what you need to do. As I see the total market opportunity is a little bit over $4 billion. and that's based on a pricing model that we can go into details of. And company history, I started doing this as consulting, realized that's not scalable, had a very good discussion with Gartner, which is the analytics kingpin, deal maker, rainmaker, and they said you need to go to talent agility because you're not a data analytics company that does HR stuff, you're a people company that's really good at analytics, and that clicked. So that's where we are right now. And there's me, and here's my board chair, John Osmond. He's in Nashville, Tennessee. Had quite a bit of experience in business, Fortune 500, fintech, biotech. So he's the business part of this because, as you can tell, I'm all over the place with ideas in the academic part. So I got to have a business guy. We are hiring a CEO this month, which I'm so excited about because that means I get to get a lot of stress off of me from doing everything. Q&A time. Perfect. Can't believe I did that in 5 minutes. There you go. All right, Q&A. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned about you can do this on SaaS, which means that it's online. How
Yes.
are you protecting that data, especially for employee data with companies?
Very good. So that's my background. It's going to depend on what the HRIS systems are in place already. I'm sure you've got, you've got PI index. I think you can SaaS out to companies. That's a big one. Everything is going to have to be on premise in theory, right? Like everything's in cloud at this point. If you're not, you're behind. We're going to work inside that infrastructure. Now, in order for us to get the data out, it has to be de-identified because I do not want to know individuals' information inside the company firewall. I want to see just the person and the results. The short answer to that is it depends because everybody is so different in their IT infrastructure. Some are Azure, some are AWS, some are a mishmash. There's no quick answer to that one. But InfoSec is about half of what I do on a daily basis. So, good question. Yes, sir.
Can you give me an example of where you went into an organization, what the problem was?
Yeah.
How you solved the problem and what the result was?
The impetus for this was a cosmetics company in Connecticut. And the ask was, we just got sold Looker because the executives really liked it. Nobody else asked about it. And we want you to build reports for Looker. Our data's a mess. They had been bought and sold several times. So they had multiple data silos, which is a common problem. I said, let me go back a little bit and understand what the users need and how intellectually diverse are they for using data. And the reaction to that first was, that's too academic. We can't spend that time. Finally got the go-ahead for that. Spent 2 weeks running across the country doing in-person. This was back in 2020, so this was early stage. Compiled a really long report on what I found, did an executive deck. All of a sudden, the same IT director who said this is too academic, I became his best friend because it made him look really good. And we were able to say, you don't need Looker, you have IBM Cognos, this is what your users want. We need to completely redo our data warehouse because we've got little silos of research and development's doing their own thing. You've got an old AS400 running DB2 that connects, and finance is speaking a different language in the warehouse. All of that was leveling the playing field so that the employees could understand the next thing that comes down the pipe is not an executive mandated thing that they're going to forget in 2 years. They drove it. And every time we did an interview, we said, you're going to see your comments come back in a productive and positive way. Next thing you know, they get bought by a German multinational, transition to SAP. Because of the work that we did in leveling the playing field, the transition to SAP was really easy. Otherwise, they would have had 4 different systems they were trying to get into SAP, which would have been a nightmare.
So a lot of technical jargon there.
Yeah, I know, sorry.
Clearly, no, that's fine. But clearly, you've got IT people that understand that, but you're talking a lot with HR.
That's right.
So are you being that bridge to help?
Yes.
Communication gap?
One thing, and I thought as a humanities person in data science, what am I doing? What is my worth? And I've really found that I can bridge that. I'm really good at talking about culture, about data as an instrument of power in companies. And then the technical part of, well, how do we make all that happen? So I'm comfortable in that role, which is why we're hiring a CEO, because I got to do more of what I'm good at.
Two quick questions. One, payment model, and let's start there.
Yeah, so subscription model, and there are a lot of ways
Per user?
per use. Well, yes, and that's the tiers based on the users. Look at any SaaS platform out there. They do per user, and then that cost goes down depending on the number of users that you have.
And this is already built.
Yes, I got the MVP. It's all open source. Once we have, because this is all bootstrap. There's no funding whatsoever from outside sources. But once we have either a partnership with, I've got a proposal in for the whole Canadian healthcare system, about $250,000 proposal. They're a case study for why they need us, because in their culture, they wasted $130 million on an ERP system or EHR system that nobody wanted. That would have been the influx of money, but then also they would have been a partner in developing a higher end SaaS application, and then we could have done royalties. That's one of the ways that we can fund that. We get a flagship partner, and all of a sudden we have royalties for them.
I've got a couple rapid fire.
Sure.
Industry, do you have a target industry or a target revenue per company?
That was the hard part, because this is applicable to everybody. If you use data in your company, you're our target market. But we've got to focus. I'd say healthcare is a really good starting point. Also manufacturing, because with manufacturing you've got the office folks and you've got the plant folks, and the assumption is the plant folks don't deal with data, and that is a horrible assumption to make. Because the cosmetics company I worked with, I spent more time at the plant than I did at the company headquarters.
And then I've heard you talk a lot about your knowledge and how you physically can assist companies with this product. How is that replicable as you scale?
Yeah, so I'm really good at taking people's brains and putting them into code and algorithms. So I'm doing that, but then we also figure that no matter what the automation systems are for any kind of scalable product, your top tier, you should get a person. So that's the model here. There is top tier where if you want us on site for a week or for half an hour, you got it. There's always got to be an accessible human being. It can't be entirely SaaS and automated.